I was outside in the yard last night putting the chickens back in their coop, and I noticed that the moon was full and it was right between two big branches on a huge tree in my backyard. And the moon was framed that way, like in the shape of an eye on its side. And then I noticed all the branches against the sky, and I thought this would be a great assignment to show people how to draw trees. And so that's what I did. I took a blue piece of paper like this, and I thought about what I saw. And I know that I looked at the bottom of the tree, the trunk, and the ground. And then I did the silhouette of that. So that is the outside contour, and then to fill in the positive space with black and leave the negative space for the sky blue. So the tree starts out really wide at the base, and these are where the roots grow into the ground and even deeper. The top of the tree is a mirror image of the roots of the tree underneath the ground, they say. So if a tree is 50 foot tall from the ground up to the top branch, it may be that tall in roots underneath the ground too. So if it's a healthy tree, it is holding on to the earth and into the earth and getting all its nutrients and everything from the earth and the water that falls from the clouds. So I thought that this would be interesting and fun to do as a way to show you how to draw trees and branches and how they go out in different directions. So let's get started. This is done with just watercolor paint, black, only black. I cut the moon out of a white piece of paper and I glued that on last. So if you can find a piece of blue paper or start out with that, if you're here, I'll provide this. You could draw it with crayon or pencil or even a marker, and that would work fine. But for me, to do it quickly, it's nice to do it with black paint because it'll flow. I'm going to set this to the side so that I can look at it as I do this project. Here we go. We're going to start with the ground and a wide brush like this. Load up that paint well because we're going to be using quite a bit of black. Now at the bottom, we just want some kind of grass. So move like this. And I'm noticing the paint is not thick enough or dark enough, so I have to go back in, dip a little more water. You want this ground to be kind of bumpy, like leaves have fallen, or that grasses have started to die for the winter and turn yellow and turn into dirt again. And so then I'm going to start out wide, start like that, and then just bring this branch up, and don't be too straight about it. It needs to wiggle a bit. It's taken years to grow, and it's changed its mind on where it's growing, depending on where the sun and the clouds and all that have been in its life. So it goes where the light is. So things don't grow straight as a board. I'm holding this down with my hand because as this paper gets wet, it wants to curl up. I'm doing this on construction paper. So hopefully you're okay to hang on to your piece of paper too. You could tape it down if you wanted. Now I know that here there is a split. And do you see how I'm just going out? So let me do this slowly. It's kind of tricky for me to do trees slowly. I love to draw and paint trees. It's probably my favorite subject matter. And I do lots of different examples, different types of landscapes. And I'm still practicing. I get better every time, I hope. And then I was thinking about all these branches that curl around, and some were kind of curling back, like I saw one that went back like this. And I thought that's really interesting against the sky. So this is a silhouette. And lift your brush if you can, and it gets smaller. So it's smaller out here on the tip, and then it gets wider and wider. If you flatten it out, it's really wide. So think of antlers on a deer maybe, I think of how things branch out and get smaller. If water was dripping, it goes to the smallest point. So going back into this, and I notice they call this the crotch of the tree, where the legs come together. We call them branches. They're almost like arms, holding those leaves to catch the sun, to get nutrition from the sky, to make chlorophyll, to make green power, energy for the plant, or the tree in this case. So it stretches out to get that chlorophyll and the sun's energy. We need vitamin D. That's what we get from the sun. And that helps us unlock all the other vitamins that we need. So we've got a lot in common with Mother Earth and trees. It's nice to know. We all work together to build a good environment. Hopefully you take care of your trees so that they can take care of you. Do you water them when it's dry? I know there's a big blue pine tree in my front yard that I water in the summertime because I want it to be healthy. This is not a pine or conifer tree. This is a deciduous tree that has lost its leaves. So by this, we know what time of the year it is. We know that it's winter, or it's a dead tree. That's all there is to it. And so hopefully you're branching out. Sometimes you have an accident with your paint and it gives you a different idea. Just branching these out. And so I could stop there, but I want to keep going. I want this to look great, like I thought about what I was doing. And these can overlap, because they did when I saw them. Now, this is from a memory. I stared at the moon. I looked at it for a long time in the tree, and I thought, this is kind of fascinating. This is something that I could have taken a picture of, but it would not be the same, and I think this does just fine. So let me move this up into ground, and you see what's shiny is where it's wet. And that looks kind of neat. If I wanted to add snow to it, I would add it right there where it's wet if I wanted it to look even more winter. But I think that my black is dark enough and it's saturated and it looks pretty opaque. That means I can't see through it. So just any piece of white paper, take just a small square of white paper is all you need. And then I have to decide how big is that moon. And then I need to cut a circle. Now, here's how to cut a circle. If you keep turning your paper and look at the edges, what edges are flat? Is it too wide on one side? That's close, but there's more. I can refine this. Refining means to take a little more time and look and do better. So sometimes we have a great idea and it's good, but if we practice it, we can get better. And that's what I'm doing with my circle. I'm just cutting the parts off that kept it from looking round, and that's good enough. I want to make sure that that goes where there is not a branch, and that fits. Now maybe to be a little more believable, it should be a little more small, and that gives me the opportunity to make this even more round. Spin this paper as you cut it, if you can, and it will look better. I'm taking the time to do that kind of off camera. Sorry. There we go. And get that out of the way, and there is my moon. All I need is a dab of glue and to stick that on. So there you see, I've made my tree. It's wide at the bottom, it's coming out of the ground, it's reaching up and it's splitting to the sky. Look at my hand. This is my trunk. These are branches, and then off of my branches would be twigs that come off. Branch, stick, twig, leaf. That's kind of how it goes. So I have a winter, moon, and tree. I like the first one a little bit better, but this is my second version that I did for you. This was from my first idea. I really didn't try much different, but you know, when you paint, things turn out differently. It's not, water doesn't always flow the same way. So this looks kind of cool together too. And I hope you've enjoyed practicing a tree on dark blue paper. I call this Winter Tree and Moon. Send me a picture of your work. I hope you learned a little more about how to do a portrait of a tree or how to correctly draw a tree. Thank you.